You were quoted back in July saying you look forward to buying a union-made electric vehicle, but you currently have a non-union-made Tesla. UAW already makes some electric vehicles. So why wasn't that? Is it a problem with the quality? Is it a problem with the style? Is the market just not there?
No, our car was purchased during the pandemic when before a vaccine had come out. So travel between New York and Washington, the safest way that we had determined was an EV, but that was prior to some of the new models coming out on the market that had the range available. But we're actually looking into trading in our car now. So we're looking into it, and hopefully we will soon.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party is in an absolute state of chaos for so many different reasons. Now, that video I just played for you guys was AOC doing an interview on Face the Nation, in which she was asked to her face about the fact that she still owns a Tesla who was made by Elon Musk, okay, who she hates, okay, but she secretly wants to date. And also, Tesla is notoriously against unions, okay? So it is a non-union made vehicle. Now, this comes amidst the union strike that's going on with the auto workers, in which Joe Biden is now going to go to the picket lines and pretend like he supports them, right? After Trump came out and basically, said that, hey, he's going to do a speech for the auto workers instead of going to the GOP debate. So, of course, just like when Trump does at the border, right? Democrats have to try to beat Trump to it, right? You guys remember back when the border crisis first happened and Kamala Harris was the border czar? I guess she technically still is. I really don't know what happened to her in the border, her role or whatever. But Democrats refused to go to the border, right, until Trump decided to go. And then all of a sudden, Kamala Harris wanted to hop up and go, right? Trump decides, hey, I'm going to do a speech for these union auto workers or whatever, right? All of a sudden, Biden wants to go out there, right? Again, it's just amazing. It's almost as if Trump is just ahead of the Democrats, and he's just better at playing their game than they are, right? I mean, that's just how it seems, okay? And that could be the reason why Trump is up in the general election polls over Joe Biden, despite the political witch hunts, despite the indictments, despite everything that they're throwing at the man. Trump is still on a path to take back the White House. And the frustrating part about this for Democrats is that there's nothing they can do about it, okay? Their guy, Joe Biden, is essentially too old, okay? Everybody knows it. The American people know it. And his natural replacement, Kamala Harris, is too disliked. She's even more disliked than he is, okay? But you know what the Democrats do to try to explain why Kamala Harris isn't as liked as they think she should be? Well, of course, it's because of racism.
Well, I know that you're saying you don't look at the polls too much, but our poll does show her favorability is actually lower than President Biden and even than former President Trump. Why do you think she's not resonating more with voters? What do you think the issue is?
Because when you compare the first woman of color and first woman to be vice president of the United States, and compare that to all of the history before, you will get that. I think that during this campaign, she will demonstrate, as she did in that hall last night, that she knows exactly what she's doing. She has the capacity and the capability to be president of the United States if called upon to do so.
Again, the Democrat Party is that bad, okay? They're in a full-blown state of chaos, okay? And a part of the chaos now is the fact that one of their own Democrat senators, Bob Menendez, is facing an indictment from the DOJ for an alleged bribery, Biden family-esque pay-to-play scheme, where this guy, allegedly, through the help of some business partners, was making decisions that benefited Egypt, okay, in exchange for money, right? Hundreds of thousands of dollars, gold bars, okay, nice cars, other things, okay? It sounds very familiar to the accusations against the Biden crime family, okay? And Bob Menendez had essentially got off on this before because of a hung jury. The guy was so emboldened, right, that he decided to continue to live a life of crime while being a senator. And then, again, he made it so obvious that this is what he was doing, that he was corrupt, that the DOJ had to indict him. And you know they didn't want to because He's a Democrat, right? They never really go after Democrats like this. But again, this guy was so overtly corrupt. It was so in your face. It was so obvious that they had to take this guy down, okay? And like Democrats, liberals, progressives always do, instead of taking responsibility and accountability for their actions, or just saying that, hey, I don't feel like, I'm guilty when being accused of something. No. This guy has to play the race card, right? He plays the race card and says he's being charged because he's a Latino American, okay? He's being charged because he's Latino, right? They hate him because they ain't white, right? This is what he's doing. He's playing a race card. Again, it's absolutely amazing. Typical Democrat move. But again, despite this, Democrats are coming out and basically demanding that Senator Bob Menendez resign because of the accusations against him. And I want to go ahead and play some clips here of Democrats being pressed on this by the mainstream liberal media and some of their responses. Some of them are saying that he should resign. Some of them are saying that he should resign. Take a look.
Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey, as you know, has just been indicted on bribery charges. Should he resign? And what do you think of his statement that it has to do with him being a Latino?
Well, I think the situation is quite unfortunate, but I do believe that it is in the best interests for Senator Menendez to resign in this moment. As you mentioned, consistency matters. It shouldn't matter whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. The details in this indictment are extremely serious. They involve the nature of not just his, but all of our seats in Congress. And while, as a Latina, there are absolutely ways in which there is systemic bias, but I think what is here in this indictment is quite clear. And I believe it is in the best interest to maintain the integrity of the seat. I want to emphasize that all people they must be extended the presumption of innocence until proven guilty.
New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez was charged with bribery this week. I know you've said you're waiting to see how your New Jersey colleagues respond, but Governor Phil Murphy, a majority of the House Democrats from New Jersey, have already called on him to resign. So do you think he should resign?
He should. And also, I think it's important that we point out that, speaking of Merrick Garland, that any idea that the Department of Justice is being weaponized to protect President Biden is just nonsense. This is the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, one of the most powerful positions in government, and Merrick Garland is moving, with his Department of Justice to indict this senator. And so this just shows that the rule of law applies to everyone, whether it's the former president, whether it's the current president's son, or whether it's a Democratic senator. But in the same spirit, I would really love to see my Republicans, who like to get all high and mighty whenever something happens to Democrats or like to make these accusations against Merrick Garland, call on George Santos to resign, who's actually admitted to almost everything that he's been charged with, and to call on Clarence Thomas to resign, who day after day we learn more and more about people who have come before the court who have invested millions in Clarence Thomas and his family and his livelihood. So again, it seems like Democrats are the only ones who are consistent and care about the rule of law applying to everybody. And again, I hope that your viewers and voters recognize that when they have to make decisions about who should be in charge.
Very quickly, should Senator Bob Menendez resign from his position?
Well, these are serious and shocking charges. Bribery, corruption. I've never seen anything like this. He stepped down from being chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. That's a serious step. I think Senator Menendez is going to have to think long and hard about the cloud that's going to hang over his service in the United States Senate.
Well, he is up for re-election. It sounds like you are drawing attention to some questions about that. I have to take a quick...
Well, I mean, he's going to be in...
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say he was going to be in court next week.
Yeah.
And he's got to figure out whether he can adequately serve the people of New Jersey.
Let me tell you, Dana, this is a very serious charge. There's no question about it. But it bears reminding us of what I've said about the indictments against Donald Trump, equally serious charges. These are, in fact, indictments that have to be proven under the rule of law. The person who is accused is entitled to the presumption of innocence. and it's the responsibility of the government to prove that case. I said that about Donald Trump. Let's say the same thing about Bob Menendez. But the bottom line is the Senate Democratic Caucus has a hard and fast rule. When indicted, you lose your position in leadership or chairmanship of a committee. And that is what has happened with Senator Menendez. He lost the chairmanship of one of our most important committees, the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, which the president himself served as chairman of in years gone by. In terms of resignation, that's a decision to be made by Senator Menendez and the people of New Jersey.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, as mentioned, Bob Menendez is up for re-election, okay? And I think it's safe to say that this guy is probably toast, okay? Considering the allegations against him, unless he has, the Trump effect, okay, where, the indictments really don't matter. I don't think he does. I think he's done, right? I think he's done. So you already have some Democrats like New Jersey Congressman Andy Kim stepping up and saying, hey, I'm going to challenge Senator Menendez in the Democrat primary, okay? And you also have some people like Chris Christie, who's in the GOP. He was the governor of New Jersey at one point, being asked whether he's going to step up and challenge Senator Menendez.
Hunter Biden has now been indicted. But let me ask you point blank, would you run against Senator Menendez? But would you run against Senator Menendez if you don't win in the fall?
No, I have no interest in being in the United States Senate.
You rule it out completely?
Yes, I have. I've had throughout my entire career. I had a chance to appoint myself to the United States Senate, Kristen, in 2013 when Frank Lautenberg passed away and I was governor. If I didn't appoint myself to the United States Senate, the easiest way to get there, I sure as heck am not going to run for it.
Now, guys, I got to be honest with you. I don't mean no harm to Chris Krispy Kreme, but I don't think he's ever run for anything in his life, right? I don't think Chris Krispy Kreme has run for anything, okay? So I don't expect him to run. Not surprised he ain't running because, again, it's hard for me to imagine Chris Christie running. He ain't really run for president. He's really running to get a show on MSNBC, right? That's what he's doing, okay? There are calls from the left and the right for Bob Menendez to step down. Now, he's already stepped down as the chair of the Foreign Relations Committee. And me personally, when it comes to whether or not he should step down as senator, I personally believe that that is a decision to be made by him. But he is innocent until proven guilty. Now, why am I saying that? Well, the reason why I'm saying that is because Democrats are coming out here and asking him to step down. They want to force him to step down as a way to make him a sacrificial lamb to try to, one, prove that the DOJ is not weaponized, which this, in my opinion, does not prove that at all, okay? Clearly, the Biden administration has weaponized the DOJ. I thoroughly believe that. I just think that this dude was so obviously corrupt. He was so reckless. Again, this is basically an IQ test, honestly, that they had to go after him, right? I mean, he should have did what Biden did, okay, and, done these business dealings, okay, through his son, right? You got to create, a bunch of LLCs and shell companies, and you got to at least try to cover your tracks, right? Try to be sneaky about it. That's how most of these politicians get away with it, okay? I mean, best believe he's not the only person in Congress doing that, right? All of them are doing that for the most part. In order to get rich. This is how they become millionaires, multimillionaires in office while only making almost $200,000 a year, and all of a sudden these people becoming millionaires. Yeah, the reason why is because they're selling out the American people. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm keeping it 100. So it's not like he's doing anything that a lot of them aren't already doing. He was just stupid about it, right? And again, it is kind of like an IQ test in the sense that, well, if you get caught because you're so obvious about it, then yeah, you probably don't deserve to be a senator, right? You're probably not smart enough or intelligent enough to be a senator. But I think ultimately that is something for the American people to decide, right? The same way when it comes to Trump and his indictments, I believe those are politically motivated, okay, for various reasons, because one, the DOJ isn't treating Biden the same way they're treating Trump when it comes to Biden's classified document case. Hillary should have been indicted, okay, when it comes to her email scandal. Again, we've seen Democrats get away with stuff that Trump can't get away with. So I believe his indictments are politically motivated for the most part. But I'm just saying, regardless, he's still indicted, right? And, you are innocent until proven guilty. And I think in this country, we kind of forget that, right? And with, Bob Menendez, Democrats are coming out here and trying to virtue signal because they're ultimately going to try to use that as a way to say, hey, see, look, we're above the Republicans. right? The Republican Party as a whole will accept Trump, even though he has these indictments. But look at us Democrats. We're above it all. We're going to make Bob Menendez step down, right? We're not going to accept him, okay, with his indictments. And I think that's what this really is about. I think Bob Menendez is a sacrificial lamb. He was so stupid. He was so overt with the corruption. They had to go after him. And basically, it helps them with their case of saying, well, look, the DOJ is not weaponized. Look, we went after our own person, right? But again, they went after the guy that probably would have been found guilty on similar charges had he not had a hung jury, had he not got super lucky. But again, the dude is so overtly corrupt, he really don't give a damn. He understands that, you know, for the most part, politicians don't really face punishment for this type of stuff. He was so brazen about it, they decided to keep doing it, okay? So again, they're sacrificing one of their dumber members, right, to try to virtue signal as if they're above it all, right, that they're not corrupt. And I'm not falling for it. At the end of the day, I think that ultimately, because he's up for re-election, it's up to the people to decide whether or not he should continue to serve if he's stupid enough to try to rerun. But I think ultimately, at the end of the day, his career is probably over. If I had to guess, he's probably going to be found guilty. It's not because the Biden-led DOJ is not corrupt or is not controlled by Biden or influenced by Biden. It's simply because this guy was, again, too reckless about how he went about doing it, okay? And that's why I think they're going to get him, okay? They're like, nah, bro, you're way too reckless to be a part of the Democrat Party. It's too overt, right? You got to hide your corruption, okay, if you're going to be a Democrat. So, yeah, that's why I think they're actually going to get him this time. But again, I think in regards to whether or not he should, you know, be forced to step down or whatever, I think it's up to the American people to decide, right? I really do think that the people should decide. And I'm saying that because I want to be consistent about it when it comes to Trump's indictments as well, too. I think in this country, we do forget that you are innocent until proven guilty. So, hey, we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.